everyone, today I want to do a video where I want to talk a little bit about why I stopped enjoying watercolor sets with traditional colors and what I mean by that. Okay, so I'll start a little bit with sort of where my watercolor journey began. I had very minimal experience. Obviously, we all do in sort of elementary school. We all have the, cheap watercolor sets that we start with, and that really doesn't make you understand watercolor to the full, but it gives you kind of like a starting point of something where you kind of mix certain colors and they come out muddy, some less, some more, and then you realize if you mix like blues and pinks, you get a purple, and then the blues and the yellows, you get a green. So you learn the basics. Then at the university, before university, so here in UK you do college, which is A levels, and this is when I actually moved to this country and I studied in London. So I had a strong craving suddenly for art, and I can't say that I always had a thing for colors, even when I was little, but I never developed it. I never went into it. I never pursued it. I never went to any special school or anything like that for art. So at college, I then decided, okay, I'm going to do art A level, and I realized at that point my fellow students were so knowledgeable already about a lot of art supplies and things, so they must have done something here in school that I didn't. So I studied in Germany, in Hamburg, and we had Kunst, which is like art class, and it was more about things like, I don't know, carving things out of wood and sticking things to a board. So it wasn't really like painting and exploring paints and all that. Maybe it was just my school I went to, but that was my personal experience. So I very quickly realized, oh my goodness, it was like out of the college, all of the other A levels that I was doing, this was my excitement. This was when I really was into it, because there were like two huge rooms we had filled with all sorts of art supplies we could use, all different materials, fabrics, different papers, tracing papers. This is the first time I even saw there is such thing as tracing paper. So I realized I had a lot to learn. So cutting that short and fast forward, many years later, I basically, although enjoyed it, stopped art and focused on getting a degree and kind of trying to find my path, like career path. And at that point I realized I loved fashion and I loved styling and the beauty and things like that. Slowly, eventually, it kind of was connecting back to the colors. It was connecting back to mixing colors and etc. So it all kind of was there throughout the years, but very subdued, if that makes sense. So then I had my little one, and we moved to the countryside, and I actually thought of starting a beauty YouTube channel because this is what I was really into. I was writing for beauty magazines and fashion magazines in London when we were living in London, and I was, doing the styling, working with editors. It was a really fun, super demanding way of working with very little kind of payoff. So then I very quickly realized I couldn't do a beauty channel because I was looking dreadful. I had a baby. I had no time to create beauty looks and look perfect. I hardly had time to wash my hair. So I thought, okay, that's just not going to work. So I then started watching, scrapbooking, tried a little bit of that. Didn't really make sense to me why I would want to stick all those stickers and cut up all these papers, and what is just for like one or two pictures, all these weird formats of a square. I mean, I enjoyed watching the aspects of it and the memory keeping of it, but the creating just wasn't sitting well with me. So this is when it then started getting into watercolors. Now I realized it was time to invest in high quality artist grade watercolor sets. So the very first one which I bought, I will show you in a minute, but that was before all of that. So that was my very first, but I'll get there. I'll show you the two sets that I bought, which are on a pricey side. So I'll show you I don't remember which one I bought first, to be honest with you, but I'll show you the least expensive one out of the two. So this one here. So this is a 36 color palette. It's a Mijello Mission Gold, and you basically get 4 little boxes filled with good sized tubes, and then you just squeeze it out into this palette. And I enjoy them for the reason that they are so bright. That is something that spoke to me at that time, and I love the brightness of the color. So I purchased that set, and I'm not using much of it, although it is a great set. I would recommend it, but there is something I learned about it over the years, is that the colors are they don't mix as beautiful as the brand that I happen to love, and they're like my top go-to watercolor brand over the years. But they are lovely and beautiful. Also, they have big space to mix, but again, right now this does not work for me because it takes up so much space. On my desk I have very limited space for any color palettes, so I will explain where sort of my need for watercolor developed to. The other set that I bought was the Schminke Horadam. So Horadam is their artist grade, and then the Akademie is their student grade. So this set me off quite a bit, but I thought, okay, I'm going to invest into it because I want to learn from the best materials. Again, a very big palette. This one is quite heavy because it's metal. It folds up into these 2 trays, and so you have loads of mixing area. And I bought it as the 3 rows of colors, and then the bottom one was free, so I wanted to add a few of my own colors, because at that point I started realizing I do enjoy adding a few more colors rather than having them all given to me. So I think where I put stars, no, these are new, I think, where have I put stars, but I basically rearranged them into this sort of order where at the bottom I have all the neutrals and then the colors at the top, like that. So these are beautiful. I love them. They're fantastic quality. They are not as bright and vivid, because the Mijellos, they're almost like electric bright. These are beautiful. They have enough color to them. But yeah, it is fantastic. I mean, it's a great quality watercolor to start or to work with when you are advanced. But today I'm just sharing my personal experience and where I came to over the years. So that was that. Then I will show you my first ever palette, which I had years before buying these sets that I just showed you. And so it's this palette here. It is the St. Petersburg Nevskaya Palitra, which is a Russian artist grade watercolor set. This is where all students learn their watercolors. Even at university, this is what you get. So it's you know, it's a big brand, and there wasn't, at the Soviet time, there wasn't anything else. They don't look glamorous, they look quite basic, but they are great. They're very comparable to Mijello Mission Gold in the sense of brightness. So if you love your color, they are beautiful. They mix beautifully, and yeah, fantastic. But again, this was not how it was original. It was in the original state of it for many, many years. And then when I started using watercolor more often, so I don't know if you can see, I clipped this board here. This is the old school palette. They don't come like that anymore. This is the sort of original one. I'm not sure if it's the very, very first original, but it's definitely the one that they had before updating it a few years ago. So basically what I've done here is there are some colors that are like new releases from the past couple of years, but mostly I clipped off. There was this like a plastic insert there, and it only had colors in the 2 top rows, and I don't remember, I think it was a 24 set if I'm not mistaken. And so I then just basically haphazardly pushed them all. You can see some of them are popping out, but I like the fact that I think I got 39 colors into here. I don't remember, but yeah, it's to me, I love it. So I collected colors over the years, and the very first thing I did a few years ago is I started taking out colors that were on the opaque side. So I wanted to have this palette to be completely transparent. And that is something I was going through at the beginning of my color journey or watercolor journey. I felt that when I was starting with watercolor, colors that had opacity to them really made muddy mixes, and because mixing wasn't coming natural to me, I felt like it was really holding me back and creating mixes that made my art look ugly. And so that's what I did. I tidied this palette up, and this is what it looks like. I love these watercolors. Again, the 3 palettes that I have showed you, I would all recommend all of them. They're fantastic quality, beautiful palettes. And yeah, so you know, when you buy the 24 or the 36 set, you will have a different color to this. So this is not how it comes. This is over the years how I adopted and adjusted my colors. Also, I realized something really quickly, which is I've taken all of the, well, I say very quickly, this wasn't a couple of last couple of years ago. I realized I didn't like the neutrals. Back then, you can see that palette has all the bright colors, no neutrals whatsoever, which if you've been watching my channel, you know that there is a range of colors that I gravitate to, particularly the yellow ochre and the burnt sienna, and a couple of other colors here and there, but they're definitely in my art now. Few years ago, I wouldn't even want to use them, so I decided I will keep them separately. I bought a separate palette with 12 colors, which weren't great at all, so I chucked them out, put them somewhere else, and use this palette like that, so that I have the colors. So I have to say, when it comes to the colors, Nevskaya Palitra, they do beautiful watercolors, but for me personally, I'm not too keen on their neutrals. I find them a little bit washed out, and they don't have enough pizzazz for me. So if you can see, these are the colors I like, and there are some other brands that do neutrals a lot brighter. I mean, even if we just quickly refer to Schmincke's neutrals, you'll see their yellow ochre next to, I don't have a yellow ochre here, but like say Naples yellow and Naples yellow, I still find Schminke is more appealing because it seems more sort of creamier, whereas this is a little bit watery, and I don't know, just not keen on them. And then we have the burnt sienna. You can see burnt sienna here is quite washed out compared to Schminke. Schminke's yellow ochre is really beautiful. I would highly recommend it. And then same thing with the Mijellos. They're a lot brighter. So that's a thing to keep in mind. So then, after I had a few of those sets, and I felt quite happy with the quality of the watercolors, but I felt like I wanted to explore colors and maybe other brands a little bit more. And at that point, I realized, oh, I forgot to show you another set, that there are 2 brands which are really fun. So the M. Graham and the Core. Both of them, I believe, are American. So let's look at the core first. We have the high chroma set. When I saw this set, it was just screaming my name. I couldn't believe that I could buy a set of 6 colors that would not have that sort of boring. I just realized actually I changed my colors, my palette so much that I can't show you. Oh, hold on, I can do. 1 second. I was just going to explain what a traditional color set is. So here we go. I have the Schminke, which I bought by mistake. It's the Schminke Akademie set. I think I will regift it to Mason when he's a little bit older. And so this is what I'm talking about. The traditional colors. You got some yellows, you got some pinks, you got some blues, you got some greens, and then you got... So this is like the traditional colors you would get in a starting set of like 24 colors. And to me, when I see this makes me want to just today, not back then, today, makes me want to just run the opposite direction. It doesn't make me feel like I want to start painting. And these colors are just way too, what's the word? Unimaginative? I guess that would be the right word. So yeah, these days have certain blues that I like, have certain greens that I like, certain neutrals that I like, and even within the yellows in very particular, within the oranges, pinks. So over the years, I realized that it's not the colors I don't like, it's the tone of them that I don't like. So basically, let's now go back to core. So this high chroma set, when I saw it, I was really surprised that you could get these beautiful original colors, and they are stunning. I don't think... Oh, I do have swatches. I'll show it to you in a second. I'm not so happy with the palette. I think it's just not great looking in any sense of the imagination. I don't like this sort of design of it. But I just use the tin to store my colors, and these days I prefer to use like ceramic palette to mix colors. I think that that's the best way of doing things. So over the, yeah, like I think I just mentioned, so over the years I just added a few more colors to the set. This set comes with these tiny little tubes, and it has the most beautiful color array for me, like for my liking. So it's got the, let me just read it out to you, the cobalt teal, green gold, quinacridone gold, transparent pyrrole orange, quinacridone magenta, dioxazine purple. So another thing I have learned over the years is that I really like quinacridones. Why do I like quinacridones? Well, firstly, they are super saturated in color, and they also tend to be like single pigments and also transparent. So if I wanted to make this color pastel, which these days I do, then I just add a bit of white, either gouache or watercolor, or even like ink, like acrylic ink. And that's how I get a super bright color to a pastel. But I would much rather have this sort of beautiful, pungent color set that makes me excited. So this is the quinacridone set, and it's by M. Graham. So the colors in here are nickel quinacridone gold, and quinacridone red, quinacridone rose, quinacridone rust, and quinacridone violet. All very beautiful. I tried to find swatches just to give you an example what I'm talking about. I can't find the quinacridone set, but here is the core. So these are the 6 colors you get, and look at the beautiful mixes you can create. They're very lovely. So this type of thing is where it was like a breakthrough for me. I realized that color and watercolor can be so much more exciting than those starter sets. And then I kind of started, back then, this was like a few years ago, 2017, I already started dipping my toes into limited color palette without realizing it. So I would create art within like monochrome scheme, Okay, my memory card got full there. So I was talking about the monochrome color palette and things like that. And then at the back here, you can see I'm exploring sort of colors in a different way. So that was that.